Hi, I'm Jane Dearwester with McIntyre Elder Law. A question I get very often is whether or not it's okay to disinherit someone in your family. Sometimes families are not perfect. In fact, very few families that I've met with are perfect. And so there are some situations, and for a variety of reasons, that people want to disinherit certain members of their family. The only family member that you cannot disinherit in North Carolina is your spouse. Spouses have legal, statutory interests in their partner, their spouse's estate. Those are under the spousal allowance statutes, and also there's an interest called an elective share. So even if you would try to disinherit your spouse can take advantage of these laws after you're gone, after consultation with an attorney, and still receive a partial amount of your estate. The elective share is based on the length of the marriage. So the longer you're married, the larger share of the estate you'd be entitled to, up to 50% of the estate. Another issue with disinheriting other members of your family is it can lead to a will contest or a will caveat proceeding. So if someone gets disinherited, a lot of times, as you can imagine, that ruffles feathers. People get upset and they say, oh, there's no way my mom would have disinherited me. This whole thing is a farce and I want this entire thing thrown out. So the bases for a will caveat or a will contest are lack of capacity, meaning the person who made the will didn't know what they were doing, were in cognitive decline, or maybe undue influence, which means someone else was influencing them and directing them to cut somebody out of their will for that person's own benefit. We see a lot of these cases in North Carolina. Another thing to keep in mind if you do specifically want to disinherit somebody is to explicitly say that in the will. Don't just leave them out and forget to mention them as an heir or a beneficiary or devisee. You want to mention, I specifically do not want this person to inherit. You don't have to say why. There's another method where some people say, I will leave this person $1. Just to acknowledge that, hey, I didn't forget about you. I left you that $1, but that's all you're going to get. Again, these types of distributions or disinheritance are often challenged in the courts, which leads to litigation. Another risk associated with disinheriting family members and your heirs, it just can lead to family drama and family conflict while you're still alive if they know you've disinherited them. So all these things are something to think about. And in the case where you may want to disinherit someone, for example, we have some clients come in who have adult children who are maybe disabled or suffering from addiction, and they don't want those individuals to inherit anything under the estate. They don't want them to be thrown off of their government benefits if they're disabled, or if they're suffering from addiction, they don't want them to inherit, because really, if an addict gets a whole bunch of money, it can really mean a death sentence. So there are ways to work around those kind of issues by setting up special needs trusts or discretionary trusts. And there are just a lot of elements around disinheriting, a lot of other options that may exist. But the quick advice is, if your intention is to disinherit someone in your will, you need to say that very directly so that it's much harder to challenge. But as we know with litigation, anything can be challenged, and it's just a matter of how far are you willing to go to defend that. And ultimately, it's up to the clerk of court or a superior court judge to decide what happens with your estate. So there are a lot of pitfalls when planning for your estate. The best method to avoid some of these risks and to understand the process is to have a professional estate plan in place. That's what we do. So please give us a call here at McIntyre Elder Law. We have offices in Hendersonville, Shelby, and Charlotte.